Nobody told Eli that buying a star was a waste of money. He already knew. He was 11, not stupid. But the night his mother stopped recognizing his face, the night she looked straight through him like he was a stranger standing in her kitchen, he needed something permanent, something that couldn't forget. He'd saved $63 over 8 months, mowing lawns, returning cans, pretending he wasn't hungry at lunch so he could pocket the $2 his dad left on the counter each morning. He spent every cent of it on a certificate from some website that let you name a star after a real set of coordinates in the sky. He named it after her, Margaret, his mom. He printed the certificate at the library, laminated it with tape and a plastic sleeve, and taped it to the window of her room at the memory care facility. The one that smelled like floor cleaner and old flowers. She didn't react. She rarely did anymore. But that night, something strange happened. The aide on the overnight shift, a woman who had worked there for 11 years and claimed she'd seen everything, called Eli's father just after 2 a.m. Her voice unusually quiet. "Your son needs to come back," she said. Something happened to the window. Eli's father didn't ask questions over the phone. He just grabbed his keys. It was a 20-minute drive to Maplewood Memory Care, but his dad made it in 12. Eli sat in the passenger seat in his pajamas, hair pressed flat on one side, heart doing something uncomfortable in his chest. Not quite fear, not quite hope. Something in between that didn't have a name yet. When they reached his mother's room, 3 staff members were standing near the window. Not panicked. Just still. The way people go still when they don't know how to explain something. The laminated certificate Eli had taped to the glass, the one with Margaret's star coordinates printed in small, careful font, had a single beam of light passing directly through it. Not a flashlight. Not a reflection from the parking lot. The angle was wrong for both. It came from above, thin and pale, and it landed in a perfect circle on his mother's blanket, right over her hands. His mother was awake, sitting up straight, and she was looking at Eli, really looking, with recognition swimming slowly back into her eyes, like something returning from a great distance. She said one word. Eli. The neurologist used words like spontaneous lucidity and temporary cognitive clarity. She said it wasn't uncommon in late-stage memory conditions. Brief windows where the brain, for reasons science still couldn't fully map, suddenly reconnects. She said it would pass. She wasn't wrong. By morning, the recognition in his mother's eyes had dimmed again, soft and distant like a radio station losing its signal mile by mile. But Eli had been there for 47 minutes. 47 minutes where his mother held his hand and asked him if he was still mowing the Hendersons' lawn, where she told him his hair needed cutting, where she laughed, actually laughed, at something his father said, the way she used to laugh in the kitchen on Sunday mornings before any of this started. Eli didn't cry during those 47 minutes. He was too busy memorizing every second. He cried later, in the car, with his forehead against the cold window glass while his father drove in silence and pretended not to notice. What Eli couldn't stop thinking about wasn't the miracle of it. It was the timing. It happened the same night he gave her the star. And then, 2 days later, a letter arrived at their house, from an address Eli didn't recognize. The envelope was small and cream-colored, the kind used for thank you notes. Eli's name was written on the front in careful old-fashioned handwriting, the sort that took effort, where every letter was deliberate. There was no return address, just a single stamp and a postmark from a town in rural Vermont called Harlow. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a photograph. The paper read, "I named that same star 31 years ago, after my son. I never thought anyone else would find it. I think maybe it was waiting for someone who needed it as much as we did." It was signed simply, Eleanor. The photograph was old, slightly faded at the edges. It showed a young woman standing outside at night, head tilted back, looking up. In her arms was a small boy, maybe 3 years old, his face turned toward the sky with an expression of pure, unguarded wonder. Eli sat on the front steps for a long time, just holding the photograph. He didn't know how Eleanor had found him. The star registry kept purchases private. His father had checked that specifically before letting him buy it. There was no logical way she could have known his name or his address. No logical way at all, and yet somehow she had. Eli wrote back. It took him 4 drafts and an entire evening, but he finally sealed a letter and mailed it to the address in Harlow. He didn't ask how Eleanor had found him. Some questions, he was learning, don't need answers as much as they need space. Eleanor replied within a week. Then he replied. Then she did. Over 3 months, they exchanged 11 letters. Real ones on paper, the kind that take intention. She told him about her son, Thomas, who had passed away at age 7 from a heart condition that nobody had caught in time. She told him how naming the star had been her way of making something permanent, something that couldn't forget. Eli recognized those words immediately. He had thought the exact same thing standing in the library, feeding his crumpled dollars into the printer. In the spring, Eleanor drove 4 hours south and sat with Eli and his father in the memory care facility's small garden. She brought flowers, the practical kind that last. She held Margaret's hand and didn't try to fill the silence with anything. Margaret didn't know who Eleanor was, but she smiled anyway, the way some part of us recognizes warmth, even when the mind can't explain why. Before Eleanor left, she pressed the old photograph into Eli's hands, the one of her and Thomas under the open sky. "Keep it," she said quietly. "He'd have liked you." Eli looked down at the photograph, then up at her, and understood something he couldn't quite put into words yet. That grief, when it finds another grief moving in the same direction, doesn't feel quite so much like drowning anymore. The star hadn't fixed anything. His mother still forgot. Thomas was still gone. The hard parts remained hard, but somewhere between a $63 certificate and a cream-colored envelope from a town called Harlow, 2 people who were both quietly falling had found something solid to hold on to. And maybe that's what stars have always been for.